Confirmed, Darth Vader is a descendant of Tom Cruise. Hey, what's good, comic fans? This is Confire Comics, and man, we're here to talk about the evolution of the lightsaber battles. We just saw an episode on ESPN last night, and it was very intriguing, and it never make you look at Jedi the same way. Like for me, the way I look at the Jedi and the fights are completely different now based on this little documentary that we saw. So we're going to talk about it, just kind of geek out and give our thoughts about it. Nate, you saw this first and told me about it. What did you kind of think about the whole deal?
Well, the thing that kind of got me excited was learning how George Lucas really based the concept for the Jedi off of like samurai. Okay,
Yeah.
He was a huge Kurosawa fan. He wanted that, and you know the samurais live by code, and so do the Jedis.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting. How he decided, man, I'm going to create this almost like a futuristic Jedi. Or futuristic samurai.
Right.
I mean, and I didn't really think about it like that, but the way, just like, you know, by the code and the spiritual aspect of the Force and all this kind of stuff. I mean, he really drew a lot on that, and getting to see how it evolved, even like watching how samurai evolved into a sport of kendo when they ran out of reasons to fight. Yeah. That was interesting because then they actually use kendo to base their fighting off of. So literally, he pretty much took everything that was about samurai from the past and the present and put it into it in creating the idea for the Jedi.
And that surprised me the most out of this. To be honest, when I first walked into this documentary, I was thinking about how they were just going to show how they did the fight sequences, and that I knew they based it off of martial arts. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to see how they changed along. I didn't realize they drew that much. I was amazed when they showed Darth Vader's helmet is a samurai helmet.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these two pictures that we got. You got the samurai helmet, and then you've got Darth Vader's helmet, and they look the same. The robes that the Jedi wear, and I guess eventually the Sith, are like that of samurai warriors. And this whole thing of peace, like you mentioned, respect, the code, all of that, I was like, man, they really draw off of that a lot. So the Jedi are futuristic samurai, basically.
And I think it's even more interesting when you look at like the new Kylo Ren outfit. I don't know if there's an outfit that doesn't look like more like a samurai, then I don't know what is. Yeah. I mean, Kylo Ren's outfit is a personification of an old samurai outfit, plain and simple. I mean, Vader was a little bit different, but dude, Kylo Ren looks straight up like a samurai.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. It really is, and it's real. I mean, I remember as a Star Wars fan, even as a kid. You don't really you really don't think about these things. You're just like, oh, cool, light swords, you know, and that's all you're really thinking about. You're not really thinking about the, you know, where did he come up from? Then when you get older and you start to appreciate these things, I remember reading an article a long time ago, probably about 10 years ago, where they talked about how a lot of this was based off of samurai stuff. I think it was back when the prequels came out. But I never really got to appreciate it as much until I watched this little documentary, and I thought, wow, that's really exciting.
But it took a lot. Now, you had the first fight, which seemed kind of boring, but these are older Jedi, older Sith, and stuff like that. And they even talk about the sacrifice that Obi-Wan, gave, which was, there's more than just this whole stuff of sacrifice to better somebody else in battle and all this kind of stuff. They took a lot of elements from it. Now, Kendo really got introduced as the art form in the second one, in Empire Strikes Back. And they go on this documentary to say that they were fighting, and it was based off the samurai, and then for the samurai code, they were not tired, but there was no need to kill each other anymore, but they were scared they was going to lose their ability in fighting. So
right,
then
they wanted to keep honing their skills. They needed a way to hone their skills
Kendo.
Without actually, exactly. And I thought it was great how they showed us some of the actual kendo fighting, and like the championships and stuff, because man, those guys, they're aggressive.
It looked like and it was, lightsaber battles.
It really did. I mean, this just the way they were striking and things like that. And then how they continually, when George Lucas said he wanted to continually basically up the ante with each one of these fights. I mean, you saw that in Empire Strikes Back between Luke and Vader. It was really, really intense, and then even more so in, Return of the Jedi. Now, something I always noticed, they didn't really mention it, but I always wanted someone to kind of mention it because it's something that I noticed is that, Vader, he always fights with one hand. It's very rare that you see him fight holding that lightsaber with two hands. When he fights, it's more of like one hand behind the back, holding the sword, kind of like a fencer, more like almost. Fencing, right? Yeah. It's more fencing, and it's even similar that you see, what's his name, Count Dooku, almost use a very similar approach when he's fighting. You see a lot of one-handed fighting. Well, so
in Dooku, he used more two-hand. I feel
he did, but there was several fights where he did one-handed, which I thought was really interesting because it felt like that was kind of playing off of that like overconfidence of the Sith. Like to use one hand that you don't need to until you really need to.
That's true. Like maybe when he was fighting, Anakin, he was using one. Then when Yoda come up, he tightened up a little bit because he was like, I'm not going to one hand Yoda. But that's cool because of the progression. Like we always wonder, like, man, how are the Jedi doing all these tricks and they're all spinning around? Well, that's George Lucas. You have to remember, this is the Jedi in their prime. This is Obi-Wan in his prime and Qui-Gon and the height of the Jedi Order and stuff like that. They're training all the time so that they're doing all these really cool techniques. And I thought it was awesome. They brought in a professional swordsman in Darth Maul and the amazing stuff he was able to do with his training. But I don't know. All in all, I thought it was awesome.
He's an actual... he's an actual, like, that's what he does. Not only is he in movies, we see him as an actor. I know I've seen him in several movies, but the dude is actually a trained professional, which is exciting because that means, not only does he does a good job as a part, dude actually knows what he's doing. And there's not a moment in the prequels, as many of the things that are flawed with the prequels, where the lightsaber battles weren't completely just fantastic.
Right.
So if you're going to take something out of the prequels, and not agree with a lot of the stuff.
Right.
The battles were awesome. They were awesome in the first one. They were awesome, and that's the thing. They kept making them better.
The Revenge of the Sith was awesome, and you saw it. If you go back and you look at the Revenge of the Sith, between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and then you go look at these Kendo championships, like you really get to see, they're just the way they're fighting. Like it was amazing. Now, what are we going to get from the Force Awakens? JJ already said that it was more of like a barbaric is the term he used, I believe, in the documentary style of fighting, which makes sense because you go from the prequels, very polished, height at their power. You go to the originals where they're a little bit older, more seasoned, and it's more about the Force and the spirit and stuff rather than all the fancy light tricks or lightsaber tricks or whatever. Now the new ones, we don't know anything about it, but we can assume that. They're not Jedi. They're not fully trained Jedi anyway. I'm not sure about Kylo Ren, but we could assume that they might be self-trained a little bit.
Right. You don't know what to expect. And you kind of have to look at it in the same perspective. Use the samurai in this moment. When you're looking at the prequels, that's the height of the samurai. Okay, where they were fighting, they had someone to fight. Okay, they were fighting. They were constantly training. They were at their peak. Then you go to the original movies. The samurai are gone. There's no samurai. There's only, Luke and Vader and Obi-Wan, and everything that they learn is literally instinctual. So you're having to almost train yourself. You don't actually have someone to train you. So the fights get more aggressive as they go because literally it is Luke doing everything he can. And
he's getting to the height of his power, yeah.
Right, and as you get to the final one, you see there's so much more. So now we go into the Force Awakens. We don't know the plot. We don't want to know the plot. We are doing everything we can. We are living in a bubble, a hamster bubble, trying to prevent ourselves from hearing anything there is to do about this movie. Because when we go to see it tomorrow, we want to be absolutely surprised. So
it's
we
tomorrow.
Don't know that.
Oh, bro, it's tomorrow. We get to watch this.
We are going to be there first thing, the very first showing tomorrow, and we're going to see it. And as soon as we do, we're going to throw up a nice little reaction video. We're going to talk about what we see and everything that's going on. It's non-spoiler feel, but man, we're excited about it. This is awesome, and this was just something to give us a little taste
They did show a little bit from the Force Awakens in this documentary. We will link the documentary down in the description below so that you can, find it and watch it. It's very interesting. But man, I can't wait. I'm glad. You'll never look at Jedi or samurais the same way. Now, every time I see a samurai style type movie, I'm going to think of Jedi. When I watch Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill with Uma Thurman fighting the crazy 88s, dicing everybody up, that's Anakin Skywalker beating up sand people.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see about it. That's Anakin Skywalker cutting up sand people. But anyway, guys, that's the video we got for today. I hope you enjoyed it. We do videos just about daily. We're going to cover a lot of stuff here in the next coming days with Star Wars. Man, we're going to be playing some Disney Infinity. The Force Awakens playset drops Friday. So we got a lot of stuff coming up. So if you don't want to miss any of that, man, subscribe, like the video, bookmark, whatever you got to do. And until next time, guys, we're out.
See ya.
Hey, if you're still sticking around, then thank you for watching. That means you like us and we like you. So do us a little favor here and click that subscribe button over there so you don't miss any of our videos, because we dropping videos pretty much daily, okay? And then click this video up above my head and watch that if you haven't already, because it's awesome too. All right? Yo, man, Campfire Rich is out. Peace.